Pam Callender is our art curator at Fogartyville, and we applied for an MLK Day of Service grant through the State College of Florida. And we were originally just looking at an art exhibit that would include artwork from the homeless as well as artwork from local and professional artists. And the title of the exhibit was Downside Upside Down, Life in the Extremes. And one of Pam's ideas for that was that she would kind of contrast the life of the 1% and the life of, you know, folks that don't have a lot. We started talking more about that when we were putting in for the grant, and we said, well, you know, why don't we just try to build a tiny house as part of the exhibit? So then we had to figure out how exactly we were going to make that happen. And obviously the amount of money we got for the grant certainly wasn't enough to cover the construction costs or the materials. We put in enough money to get the trailer because we were going to do a mobile tiny house. And for some design work, we actually put a little bit of money in for design work and a little bit of money for materials, but we were looking mainly to the community to come through with donations to fund the majority of it and to be the labor to put it together. I've known Jeff Smith for years, and I can't remember, I think I ran into him at a meeting with Valerie and found out that he was helping her with the sanctuary property, and I immediately said, Jeff, we have another project for you. And he signed on right away, and he became one of 3 people that's on the tiny house design team. And he started reaching out to the community for donations, and Sarasota Paint donated paint. He got a micro fridge to donate a little combo micro fridge and microwave unit. And then the big one, of course, he reached Brian Bishop from New Panel Homes, and Brian agreed to basically donate the outer structure.
The panels are manufactured with a vacuum press assembly line, like a lamination line, and we use a variety of different skins. This case we're doing a very, very light experimental cabin because we didn't want it to be top heavy in case you wanted to move it. We didn't want it to rack and sway. So we made it out of 1/4 inch plywood. Now the panels are extremely strong, like this is 1/4 inch. And you can see I'm walking on one. So this is how we remove the foam for the tooling. Because the panels are made raw as bulk commodity, and then they're cut to shape on the shop floor. Each house is cut into a kit. It's actually built in advance. Each wall is built, numbered, labeled, photographed, a key code made, and then palletized, ready to ship. There's no other way you can guarantee that the thing you're making and cutting will actually fit when you get to the job site. Some of our jobs are in Africa, you know, in the Caribbean and Haiti, and there you go. That's ready for a 2x4. As the original builders of Katrina cottages, we've been involved in tiny house design for 10 years, and especially with the bad economy, all of our customers, many of them shrunk their demands down to smaller and smaller buildings, and all of a sudden the tiny house thing kind of popped up, and we were already doing it.
This is so cool. I know eventually I'll live in one of these.
What appeals to you about tiny house?
I like small stuff.
Okay, what kind of tool?
And mobility.
Well, I was homeless, actually. I had a wellness center in Sarasota, and was looking into being evicted from that, foreclosing on that, and looking into RVs, and I didn't like the ambiance. I didn't like anything about the coldness and the maintenance and everything about RVs. And my grandson sent me a link to the tiny house, to a tiny house website. And that kind of got me started, and I have, with my handyman over the past 3 years, put together my Gypsy Island sanctuary.
I want to live in a tiny house because I want to have more time to spend on volunteering and being in the community and enjoying this beautiful area that we live in with a lot of sun and beautiful weather. And I don't want to have to spend so much time keeping up a house or working hard to keep up a mortgage. I want to be able to enjoy what's around me.
Well, I think especially for individuals, you know, not necessarily for families, although there are families living in tiny houses across the country, you know, but certainly for individuals, they offer a more affordable model. And I think for a lot of, well, it's not even younger people, I think many people are moving to see that the situation we're in with our environment, with climate change, you know, these global problems that we're facing require us to think differently about our relationship with the earth, our relationship with one another, and really how much time do you spend in your home, you know, versus the time you spend out of your home, and think of all the things you could be doing out of your home if you weren't in it.
It's a gift to the planet, you know. It's less of an impact, less of a footprint on the resources and on the land, and you know, and then of course it's simplicity for the people. You know, it's simplicity. It saves them I don't know how many ways. You know, not to mention cleaning a crazy big house and wondering where all your stuff is, and you know, it gets down to the basics of what do I really need to do what I'm doing here.
It's part of thinking differently, living more in harmony with the earth, seeing more of a relationship with community.
Tiny houses are not about downsizing, it's not about being a minimalist, it's about enjoying the realities of life, enjoying the experiences and the values of life beyond things.
Maybe it starts a different conversation about some alternatives, about different ways of living, living more sustainably, living with a lighter footprint, you know, making that choice to not consume as much. So I think that's all related.
We shipped them to Cameroon, Africa this year, and other places where other countries don't have the grandiose demands of American Western house design. Where many countries think that a family can live very comfortably and happily, and we agree in 600 or 800 square feet if it's designed right.
I used to work for Neil Holmes. I was a site merchandiser, and the cottages are no different than this. The cottages look exactly like that. Neil Holmes cottages. I'm telling you, and he's like one of the #1 builders in the state of Florida. Yeah. Their cottages like that are going for $70,000. Yeah. Exactly like that.
This little kit is about $6,000, but our kits range for homes from $15 to $30 a square foot, depending on the building.
But I think it's really going to be great. It's going to expose a lot more people, I think, to this type of construction, which is affordable, and it's going to be a really cute model for hopefully future tiny homes in the area.
This is a great thing. Yeah. This is a really great thing, and I know this is going to work.
The #1 vision that I hope for it to follow through with is for some of our homeless artists, you know, who are actually lugging their work around on their backs. I have one friend who is carrying around 300 paintings in his sack, you know, wrapped in plastic. So this is, you know, this will be the start to draw attention to, you know, here you have the artist. How do you create the world around them?
I mean, the possibilities are endless.
These buildings are designed that every surface can just be painted and move in. It's a completely kitted up building. Very, very light, hurricane safe, and can be built by homeless, for homeless. So we think that the homeless is actually an unutilized resource. It's a tremendous resource, and guess what? Most of them are unemployed carpenters, plumbers, electricians, concrete finishers. If we found a source of work for them, they would come out and work.
Because the thing about it is these houses here are affordable even for a person. If a person worked day labor, okay, in day labor you're making an average of $50, $60 a day. They can afford to live in a house comfortably without having to live on the street. What it would take, though, they would have to, when they get a house like that, if a person is homeless and he starts working as day labor, get himself a financial advisor with him and start walking him through how to manage the bills and stuff like that. Exactly. So what you turn them from homeless to successful. you know, they become a working part of the community. Because a lot of them, what they do is they get their money, they work every day, then they have to go to the hotel and pay a whole lot of money out. They pay like $40, $50 out, so all they have left is maybe $10. And in their mind, what can I do with $10? Except buy something to drink. But if they see there's a possibility they can have their own home, it changes their whole thought pattern. Then they say, okay, now I'm working towards something. And that's what they need. They need incentives like that.
If they're mobile, you know, you can do them and you can park them somewhere. But there are a lot of people that would like to plant them and actually build a community, and that's going to take a little more work.